We're the Turners. I'm Ada.
And I'm Daryl.
And today's topic is, what do we do after retirement in Mexico? So the reason we want to talk about this today is because we were actually out having breakfast one morning at one of our favorite restaurants, and you've probably seen a video of that restaurant where they have live entertainment, classical. The other day it was bluegrass. I'm not a fan of bluegrass, but listen, I can embrace anything. But anyway, it's just the atmosphere is so beautiful until it really doesn't matter what kind of music you're playing. There are plants all around. It's just gorgeous. Anyway, we were sitting at the table having breakfast, and this couple walked up to our table and started conversing. The gentleman was Canadian, and he actually lives in Mexico, but he had his friends with him, and he was trying to convince them they should move here. And so the question came up. The guy asked Daryl, it's like, okay, so how long have you been here? What are you doing? Like, okay, so you're retired and you moved here. So what do you do? Like, it was almost like, okay, if I'm not in the United States where I know there are all these activities and things and all kinds of places where I can spend all of my money, then what do I do? What next? So,
it's a curious question because it's almost like if you haven't been outside the U.S., then you think in terms of what you do in the United States, and so your scope is kind of limited to what's typical to do in your state or in neighboring states or traveling around the U.S. If you've been outside of the U.S., you have a little bit more better idea of what is possible to do that extends beyond the typical entertainment venues and activities in the U.S. When you retire, all that kind of goes out the window, really, because what you can do is limited only by your imagination.
We had this fabulous conversation this morning. Yeah, we woke up this morning and we were just in inquiry. We're still thinking about this conversation that we were having with this couple and how they seem to be kind of stuck. Like, I started thinking, I've been working since I was 15. And, sometime during that period, it never occurred to me that I would have a life, a retirement, sitting on the beach with the Mai Tai. That was something that I saw in the movies all the time. And, we were talking about, I just really don't want to. I never wanted to be working in my 70s or my 80s, trying to survive. This is our time to live our best life. And, we were in the States, and even with the money that we had coming in, and like you said, we really had, between the two of us, at retirement, enough money to live comfortably. Right?
Yeah, I did. The thing about it is we wanted not just a routine or ordinary or boring retirement. We wanted something that was exciting and stimulating. We're entering into the next phase of our lives. Thought about several adjectives there, but let's go with next phase of our lives.
Golden years.
and we wanted it to be exciting. We wanted to make it something special, and we wanted to go for gusto.
And then for me, it's like when I was working, my children, probably like most parents, most mothers, my children and my grandchildren were the center of my life. I wanted to see them happy and see them flourish. So, I would be happy to, do something to financially assist. And I didn't have to do that a lot. I have my daughters are educated. They've all got to college you know. And my sons as well are living their lives and pursuing their own interests. Hard workers, you know, but they had children, and I wanted to be grandmama, Oma and Opa, and just, you know, spend my money on them, take them to Disney and do all of that. And that was what I did when I worked. Part of my money was planning these fabulous vacations with my family, my grandchildren. And then I stopped working, and I was used to a certain amount of money. And listen, I worked hard for that money. I worked like 6 days. When I first started practicing, I worked every day. I worked some hours on Sundays. But you know, you get into that routine of working, and at some point, you know what? I was working to pay bills. I would work and then make sure all of my bills were paid. And then I had this thing about having to pay things off. But then you pay a bill off, you pay a credit card off, and then guess what? You go back and you charge more. So it was like this, I was in this vicious cycle. And my cousin, I was really, really stressed and really kind of depressed around how I worked so hard, but I didn't seem to be enjoying my life. And one of my cousins one time shared with me, she said, every time I get a paycheck, I buy something for myself. She said, even if it's something very small, like a pair of panties, I always, every time I get a paycheck, I always buy something, reward myself for the hard work that I was doing. And you know, I thought about that and that made sense. That was probably, you know, why I felt so down all the time. It's like, all I do is work. So I took that on, and it did make a difference, you know. And still, as we, you know, went on, got older, what I noticed is that I was, you know, I had to be doing some kind of work. Like I worked for Uber just to make some extra change so that I could have money to spend on my grandchildren or what have you, because really most of our money was dedicated to, you know, our living
basics.
Our living basics. And so still we're in a situation where we have to do a little bit of a side hustle, as someone said, you know. Like I had some kind of embarrassment around working for Uber until a really good friend of mine, who's like probably, she's a millionaire probably. She's a celebrity hairdresser, but she said she made it fun. She was like, oh, that's so cool that you have this. She said, that's a sexy side hustle. And I was like, oh, you know, I never thought about it like that. I'm like stuck in my title of Dr. Frazier. Like I can't venture outside of that. So, you know, just learned so many lessons, so many life lessons. And so, we were having this conversation, and it was a deep conversation, and we were like, you know, that's what happens to people, right?
Yeah, they get stuck in their paradigm. They lose sight of it.
Yeah. So, you know, we thought that it would be really good, really important to do a video on what happens. You know, is there life after retirement? It feels like life after death, it seems like for some people. But, you know, what do people do after they retire? Right?
Yeah, I have a little different experience. I've always worked in corporate jobs, so I didn't have to worry about a paycheck. You know, I mean, my paycheck was going to be there as long as I got the job done. And so it didn't feel to me like it was a do or die situation, just to do it right situation. And so I was able to kind of step back and take a look at what money was doing for me versus what it wasn't doing. And I realized kind of early on that money doesn't bring you happiness. You know, it was just a tool, a means to an end. Sometimes, but actually not the only tool to the end. So happiness doesn't require money, really. Happiness requires that you understand what makes you happy. And then you do that. So.
That's cool. Yeah, so we wanted to do a video to kind of demonstrate we're having a ball, and there's so much that you can do, and it doesn't require a lot of money.
And sometimes none at all.
None
it
at all.
requires your imagination. Think about what it is you want to do that's going to be fun or make you happy.
Yeah. It's like this. We have 9 grandchildren, and sometimes we watch these children, and the 8 that we have, sometimes we're observing them. They're out in the yard. They don't have a whole lot of, like things. They're like playing with sticks, and they are using their imagination to have the best time. And then, we grow up and become adults. And what happens? We lose that imagination. So that's why at some point, when I got older, at some point I would say, I want to tap into my inner child, because, that's where the magic happens. And we get so bogged down. We get so bogged down with the everyday stresses of life and trying to survive until we forget. Just stop. Be imaginative and, have a good time. I know I was guilty of that. And I was just say, I'm working like a slave. I'm my own slave. I'm a slave to making sure that my children have everything that they need and require education-wise. We wanted them to have music and dance and, just a wide variety of experiences. But that stuff costs money. And I wanted them to have that. So, I worked. And as Daryl mentioned, he had a paycheck company, but I was my own boss. So I really had to be creative, imaginative, and always be making sure that we were getting those patients in, right? So, yeah, we want to just kind of demonstrate what we're doing. And as we mentioned earlier, we're not spending, like a whole heck of a lot of money. We are using our imaginations. We're moving. We love things. There's so much to do, like hiking, boating. We don't boat, but we've had somebody to put us in a boat and take us to an island, right? To ride us in their boat, right? And then there are spas. We've gone to the hot springs. There's biking, and I love the biking. You lived in the Netherlands, and that is one of the primary
basic transportation.
Yeah, modes of transportation, and those people are healthy. And so, yeah, we got those bikes. We gave up the cars and got the bikes. And then every restaurant pretty much that we go to, whether it's large or small, has it's fabulous, some form of entertainment, classical music, or rock bands, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of restaurants here, and so the competition is high, and they have to have good food. You can't be faking it. You gotta have good food.
Yeah, and then the entertainment is fabulous. We're going to demonstrate how some of these people, these are retirees, but there are younger people too. But we're focusing right now on the retirees, because we heard this couple going, well, what do you do? What is there to do? And we're like, what is there to do? Look.
What do you want to do?
What do you want to do? I love the way you do that. It's like Disneyland. You know what I mean? I love that fantasy side of you. But anyway, there's so much dancing. These people love the dancing.
Music and dance. Of course, drinking, but we'll put that aside. That's not our thing.
We don't do that, but we don't judge other people. You do what you do. But and then there are the markets. I love the markets. And then we walk a lot. Sometimes we start walking and we forget. One day we started walking to the Malacan in Ahahi. And
said you're going to get some exercise.
Oh my gosh, what was I complaining about? The feet started what?
Hurting.
They started burning. I'm like, I thought you said this was like a couple of miles. But the walking is beautiful because you're walking through beautiful neighborhoods. And then we ran up on the
horses.
Yeah. And so there's horseback riding. And we decided that that's another thing that we want to do. So we put a compilation of all the great things. I mean, we've made a lot of videos, so you've seen some of the things that we do, some of the funny things that we do.
And the important thing about that is if we hadn't gone on that walk, we wouldn't have found horses.
This is true.
And that's something we had seen people come through our neighborhood on horses. Where are they getting horses?
Yeah.
So that walk took us right to pick up the horses, and the owner of the horses tried to get us to take her right.
Right.
In fact, we had 2 owners stopped us.
Yeah, and just very reasonable, and they'll take you wherever you want. And they'll take you to the mountains, or by the lake, or just through town. I mean, just a beautiful culture. And I, you know what? I mean, I don't want to make it seem like, oh, we're just dancing through the tulips and life is just lovely. And I mean, we just kind of practice having that mindset of all is well, you know what I mean? And things are positive. And I mean, it's not like we don't occasionally, we're married. So occasionally, he's the good guy. Occasionally.
What I find is when you move to a new country in particular, but you don't have to do that to do this. You have to put aside all of your old assumptions and all of your old routines and habits and think, you've got a blank sheet. It's a wide open world of possibilities. And if you go into it like that, you see opportunity everywhere around you. And that's the only way to explore a new environment, a new lifestyle, is to just have a wide open attitude going in and see all the opportunities that are there, more than you can possibly think.
Yeah. And some of our best adventures have been when we're walking. We were walking one morning and we walked up on a fabulous resort right around the corner from us, right on the lake. We could not believe it. We were like, this has been here all this time.
Right in the backyard.
Yeah. And then you have these little businesses where there's massage, there's roughing and there's cupping and it's
here.
It's
everywhere.
Here, so we've put together a little, hopefully it'll go quickly because it's so much, but a little compilation of what is there to do when you retire in Mexico. And I assert that it would be anywhere that. So I don't know if you've noticed that throughout this production, I have changed jewelry. So I wanted to demonstrate the creativity of the people here. When we go to the market, I've met this guy that is a fabulous, he does macrame jewelry, and he does stonework. So, I don't know if you noticed, but I had this on when we first started with the matching earrings. You will not believe what I paid for this. I just can't believe the beautiful work. But the first time I went and I met this guy, I saw this piece with the various stones. I had to have this piece. It is absolutely gorgeous. And this is macrame. I mean, I didn't bring my bracelet in. Oh yeah, here's the bracelet. Look at this beautiful macrame bracelet with the stone in there. And then, we were telling you about coming out of the restaurant. So you get a lot of this. We were coming out of the restaurant that same day when we met the Canadian and the other friends from the U.S. And there was a guy right outside the restaurant selling jewelry. And you know what? I just feel like that we have had such a, even us, and you know what I mean? Even us, we've probably had a better life because we've worked really hard and we've lived in a country where there's a lot of privilege and that. So when we are in a space where we can give back, we can support, we are like happy to do that. We are so grateful for, being able to align ourselves in such a way spiritually to have the life that we have. So this guy is outside selling earrings. So
some of the best conversations and experiences we have are with these artisans who are selling their wares around town, and more than not, we run into people. These people used to work and reside in the U.S. but got deported, and so now they're doing other things to support their children going to school, because most people here put their kids in private school, and that costs money. And so you not only have great conversations with these people, but you learn about their families and what they're doing to try to make sure their children have a good life. It's just such a warm and rewarding conversation to have with people. It's just like, we love meeting people like this.
Yeah, and they are so grateful. I mean, for just a little bit. It's like, what do we give him for 4 or 5 pairs of earrings? Then he said, I'm going to give you a gift. And I'm like, no, don't give me a gift. Just I'll pay for whatever it is. Because you're out here working hard. It's hot. But he said, I'm going to give you a gift just for, beautiful people. Yeah. Same thing with the guy that I bought the really more elaborate pieces from. He was so grateful that I bought a couple of pieces. He said, I'm going to give you a really good discount. It's very different when you're not used to people being that kind to you. And then we're at the grocery store with our friends. We went to the market the other day, and there's this older lady. She's from a different.
She was a Mayan background, Incan.
And you see, and you see a lot of those people sitting, outside selling their wares, and sometimes they're just selling fruit and vegetables. So we will buy the vegetables from those people. It's good food, it comes directly from their garden. But this lady was selling these traditional dolls. It's Independence Day is coming up, and then Dia de Muerte, Day of the Dead, is coming up. And she had these dolls. I could not resist. So look at these babies. And this is all hand-stitched, handmade work. And you won't believe the prices, that it is so reasonable until you just want to give back to the community and help. I can't say enough. That's all I can say. So anyway, you noticed my jewelry and everything, so I was just I wanted to showcase that as well. So anyway, here we go. Here's a quick compilation of what there is to do when you retire and move away from the United States. Okay?